Welcome to the Boys and Ball pod. If you like the pod, leave a like, hit the subscribe button. Let's go. So we're starting off here talking a little college football. First thing we want to jump right into. Oklahoma State got absolutely stomped. Adrian Martinez doesn't play for Kansas State. Will Howard comes in, plays like a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one to watch.
I'm now officially
For sure.
0-3 when choosing Oregon State.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State to win or lose.
Yeah,
Will Howard, he threw for 296 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean,
Double Deuce Vaughn ran for 158 in the tutty.
I don't think any of us would have expected Kansas State. We thought this was going to be a close game, but none of us expected Kansas State to come out here and 40 ball Oklahoma State. Like, that was insane.
You look at the offensive stats for Oklahoma State, it was not good.
No.
Well,
I mean, at halftime they had like 40 yards passing.
They only had 101 or 181. I don't know. One interception. Both quarterbacks, their true freshmen came in towards the end of the game, threw a pick.
No, not towards the end of the game. Towards the beginning of the game, Gunnar Gundy got hurt
very
early. That was the big thing for them. Is like, he didn't play this entire game, so you don't have that that veteran presence. So
the yards they had was 25 yards.
Yeah, it was an ugly game. I mean, you always expect Oklahoma State. They always drop a game. At some point during the season, they're going to drop a game where you look at it and you go, how? To that team, how do you play that bad? But
yeah,
I don't know if I've ever seen them drop a game this hard. Like, this was almost to the point where they decided, I don't even think we want a chance to make the playoff. We're just going to sit this one out this year.
Yeah, they just thought it wasn't cool. We thought the Oklahoma State defense was going to be at least a match for Kansas State and Deuce Vaughn, but that was not the case.
Yeah, I mean, this is not even a close game. So
no.
It's a little late in the season for Oklahoma State to rectify that mistake as well. Yeah, they're going to be watching the playoffs from their couch.
Oh, facts.
Especially they already had one loss. Now 2 losses. There's not going to be a team in the playoffs with 2 losses.
No, not with the way it's shaping up now. You got 6 undefeateds right now. I mean, 2 of them are going to work their way out. You got Georgia, Tennessee this week. You got Ohio State, Michigan later this year. 2 teams are guaranteed to lose. But, I mean, did anyone expect Tennessee to jump from 3 to 1? I know it's the first week of the playoff, committee making their choices, so we didn't really know how they felt about these teams yet, but that felt like a really big jump to me.
That did too. I kind of think they're lowballing Ohio State there. I truly do. I know Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt have a really good chemistry, and Hyatt's put up back-to-back 150-yard performances. I know the offense is really good, but have they – other than Bama, they really haven't played a high-powered offense, and even then, we've all admitted that Bama is the most defeatable they've looked in a while.
Yeah,
I thought it was a tremendous jump to leap from 3 to 1.
But let's talk about this. It's still, we expected Georgia to be 1, Tennessee to be 3. They got flipped. It's still a 1v3 matchup. How are you feeling about this game coming up this weekend?
Tennessee versus Georgia. I still think I'm going to take Tennessee. Georgia has themselves also played themselves down to certain teams, just like they did with Missouri. I think they can be beat. And if I think there's a team, it's Tennessee. Not saying that Tennessee's going to stop that offense with Stetson Bennett and Brock Bowers, but I think just like Alabama, it's going to be who can piss the farthest, and it's just going to be bomb after bomb. I think Tennessee can possibly win this game with their offense.
Well, one key thing is I don't know if he's been confirmed to come back, but Georgia's best pass rusher was, originally scheduled not to be playing because he was hurt. He got hurt in the last game, so that really hurts him.
Season?
Not for the season, just like a little banged up.
I thought I saw a report that Nolan Smith may have torn a bicep. Like, I'm a big fan of Nolan Smith. He's leading Georgia in tackles for loss, sacks, pressures. I'm seeing reports here from a couple hours ago that he may have a torn pec.
Yeah.
So
Well-
there's a possibility they lose him for the year. If Georgia loses him for the year, that is huge for Georgia. That's their best returning linebacker, their best pass rusher. I mean, that's an absolutely devastating loss, especially when you talk about the fact that if they somehow beat Tennessee, or if they do beat Tennessee, they're going to still have to go play this Alabama team with Bryce Young that's going to want to pass the ball. You're going to need Nolan Smith for both those games, and there's a good possibility that he might not play the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I'm,
And then,
I'm reading from the School of Georgia themselves. Smith will undergo surgery on Thursday for the injury.
they're also missing the
Okay.
possibility to miss Amarius Mims, their tackle. He suffered a knee sprain against Florida, so he's day to day. And then Adonai Mitchell questionable, high ankle sprain. So they got a bunch of people who are out. They got another edge rusher hurt, a couple linebackers, 2 running backs. So they're just there's a lot of banged up people on the Georgia team, which definitely affects them going into a top 5 matchup.
Yeah,
So-
I think for me the biggest question in this matchup, Tennessee's defense, especially against Alabama, struggled to get stops. Are they going to be able to match up and cover Brock Bowers? He is the best tight end in football, or in college football right now. Are they going to be able to stop him, because he is what makes that Georgia offense run? He's the best receiver. He's their best playmaker in the passing game. You saw against Florida, Brock Bowers had that juggling catch. He got that going for the touchdown. So if Tennessee can't stop Brock Bowers, Georgia will probably win this game. But I think this is really going to come down to how many stops can Georgia's defense get against Tennessee.
I don't see Tennessee stopping Brock Bowers or Stetson Bennett, because Bennett, for this year especially, has proven that he can use his legs to get things going. Beginning of the season, he had how many rushing touchdowns? 4 rushing touchdowns through the first 3 games. I think it's just going to be a pissing match with Hendon Hooker. And if they're missing Nolan Smith to set the edge, I'd expect Hendon Hooker's rushing stats to be kind of up there.
I think this is going to be a game that if Tennessee is able to get to 35, Tennessee wins this game.
Yeah, you're going to see Georgia start to struggle to,
I don't trust this Georgia offense enough for them to win a shootout. I just don't see that happening. But if Georgia's defense can slow down the game, get Tennessee off the field, let that run game with Georgia get going, Georgia's going to have a really good chance in this game. But if this is going to be like every other one of Tennessee's games where it's a shootout, and if you want to beat Tennessee, you got to win a shootout, Georgia's not the team.
No, absolutely. They're a much more defensive team this year. They don't have that high-powered offense.
Well, they always are. Georgia's never a high-powered offense. Even last year, the offense was not elite. It was that defense that carried them.
You give your offense, so many touches a game that something's bound to happen.
Right.
And then Jalen Ringo is their cornerback 1, who is at the beginning of the season a projected first rounder. A lot of mock drafts have him fallen. He's not played up to what he was projected to be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a matchup for Hyatt.
I think cornerback wise across college football, the top corners that we expected have not played up to expectation. You look at Joey Porter. He's had multiple weeks this season when he's playing against good receivers where he gets bullied. Look at what happened when he was matched up against Marvin Harrison. Harrison made him.
I'm only going to debate you there. I think Marvin Harrison was the only time he's gotten bullied.
Well, I'd have to pull up the stats, but I remember watching other games where in big key moments, instead of being that lockdown corner they need, he's getting DPIs, allowing other teams to move the ball. Yes. That's not what a lockdown corner does.
He's a very aggressive corner in the air, and he does have that tendency for DPI. DPI.
Because I just know watching Penn State play, I have just seen way too many DPIs come his way.
Yeah.
And if you especially once you get to the NFL, that cannot happen.
No.
In college you can get away with it. It's only a 15-yard penalty and it doesn't go to the spot. But if he's going to continue to play that aggressive and get that many DPIs, he's going to have a rough career in the pros.
Something will have to change at the next level.
No, for sure. Um, so Syracuse, Bailey, your squad, the team you've loved all year.
I'm
They
trying.
got a train ran on them by Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame, what they put up, 35,
41, I think.
41. It's not good, man. It was not. It
Yeah.
looked promising in the first couple series. They had kind of played neck to neck. I believe it was 14-14 at one point, and it just seemed like Notre Dame took off.
Yeah.
And that's not something we've seen from Notre Dame this year. Very much. I mean, they have a team that's fallen from grace pretty hard. From number 5, that
Yeah.
lost to the Buckeyes, and they've not been a good team.
Well, they started out rough, like, back-to-back losses, lost to Ohio State, and then the loss to Marshall was really the one that everyone went, this Notre Dame team isn't good. But they seem to have found their way. They're winning again. They're 5-3. Good win last week, but now they have Clemson coming to visit them this week at home. Is Notre Dame going to be able to upset Clemson?
No.
No.
As much as I hate Clemson, and I believe Clemson are frauds, I still respect Clemson. I believe they have enough weapons to get it done. And that Clemson defense has been showing up the past few games as well, especially against my own Syracuse that have
questionably showing up. I mean, they still gave up 35 points to Syracuse.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was a shootout.
It's the defense showing up. Like, yeah, they made a late run where they got a couple stops late, but that defense is not playing the whole game. They're still giving up points. They're still playing way too many OT games. I think this is a game.
Not wrong.
If Notre Dame plays defense the way they played against Ohio State in week 1, they have a very good chance of shutting down this Clemson defense.
I still don't think DJ Uki Cookie, whatever his name is good.
Oh, I'm in that boat. I'm deep in that boat. No, hate.
We've been rowing that boat all year long.
Yeah, PJ Fleck, give me the oar. I'm rowing that boat straight off this waterfall. I'll take that one to the depths. I mean, that it gets back to, all of us have said we expect Clemson to go undefeated with how bad the ACC is. They're the best team in the ACC. It's not saying much because the rest of the ACC is
Garbage.
relatively mediocre.
Trash.
Yes. So they're going to make the playoff and they're going to get smacked because right now it looks like they're either going to get matched up against Tennessee or Ohio State, and that's going to be a long night.
Yeah, for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Unless Notre Dame decides to spoil some surprise.
Yeah, I think if Notre Dame can pull off the upset here, the ACC is done. I don't see how Clemson is able to make it in after that loss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame can really come into this game. They're going to make a bowl game. They're going to have 6 wins this year, but they can really come in here and play the spoiler. They can play that role. Okay, our season is relatively done, but we can end your season.
Fuck these guys.
No, absolutely.
And I think sometimes when you get those games where, this is kind of the matchup that was talked about on Clemson's schedule a lot too, was, the night game in Notre Dame. What's going to happen there? So I think Notre Dame's been waiting for this moment. There were 2 big games on their schedule. They dropped one of them where they talked an immense amount of shit that they were going to beat Ohio State.
Yep. That's banked.
I think they're going to come into this Clemson game. I think they're going to come to play. But I am with you here, Bailey. I don't trust this Notre Dame team.
Yeah.
Give me Clemson in the fourth quarter.
Clemson.
Fourth quarter or OT. Fourth quarter or OT.
Yes.
I think right now we're seeing a lot of teams who realize that their season is now over. They're not going to be able to make a push for the playoffs. And I feel like you're going to see a lot of teams probably playing a little bit more risky football, especially because a lot of them have bowl games locked up. And I feel like one of the ones, like, for a team to watch out would be TCU. They're undefeated in the Big 12 right now, so they have a chance to make their run for the playoffs. And, you got Kansas State, a couple other teams in, there that, are good and, could possibly, play them, and knock them out of a chance to win, Big 12 championship and sneak into the playoffs. And the same thing with here's my big one. I think, could be pretty crazy is Illinois is on the other side of the Big Ten. They're probably going to make the Big Ten championship. If, if they beat Ohio State or Michigan, whichever one of those teams makes it to the Big Ten championship, does that
We're
propel?
gonna know. We're gonna know everything about Illinois well before the Big Ten championship. They got to go to Michigan and play Michigan in the regular season.
So if they do it, do you think if they beat Michigan, do you think that gives them a chance to make the playoffs?
Absolutely.
They have to win out. So the only way Illinois makes the playoff, because they do have a loss to Indiana. Not
Yeah.
a good loss. Indiana's 3-5. Now, we did talk about that. That falls under they had a game on Saturday, first week of the season, then they played a Thursday night game. There's only a couple of days in between. It's pretty rare in college. So they barely lost. It was a 3-point loss, but it's still a loss. Illinois is going to have to go on the ultimate upset run.
Yep.
They play Michigan State this week. They play Purdue next week. And then they have to go at Michigan, and then they're home against Northwestern, or at Northwestern. Northwestern's trash. It doesn't matter. They're going to beat Northwestern. They're going to have to go on a run, beat all three of those teams. Purdue, who's still in contention for the West. They're going to have to beat Michigan State, beat Michigan, and then they have to hope Ohio State beats Michigan. And then they have to beat Ohio State in the conference championship game. The odds that happens is less than 1%. I'm going even farther. They get dominated by Michigan at home, and then they get absolutely demolished in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
These were plausible.
This Illinois is coached by Brett Bielema. Do you know what Brett Bielema coached before this?
No.
Wisconsin.
Oh, so he's
The
used to
kid
getting-
likes to have good defense and run the football. What's he doing? He's running the ball 30 times a game with Chase Brown. Their defense is playing out of their minds, and they're going to get to the Big Ten championship game, and Ohio State's going to hang up 60 on their ass.
Give me the Ohio State under.
You
We
taking
talk
that
how
again?
bad the West is in Big Ten. Like on the East, you have a top 5, should be top 3, Ohio State and Michigan. You have Penn State. You have Michigan State, who's, other than the past 2 seasons, generally been a top 15 team in the nation. Generally. Then on the West, you have like your special needs little boss over there. Minnesota, Purdue. Purdue can be a tough bout. Northwestern, Illinois.
It's all teams that don't recruit well. So they live off of they're all pulling in three and the rare 4 stars for those schools. So they live off year cycles. You look at Iowa. They're going to have 2 years where they're going to win 10 games, and then they're going to have 2 years where they win 4 games. It's just how that recruiting cycle works before they get all those seniors in the room. The defenses play out of their mind. They only run the football, and then they have to go up against a good team in the East, and they get absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah.
It's the story of the Big Ten West. And the real question is going to be when USC and UCLA join, unless we get rid of the divisions altogether, both those teams are going to go into the West. They're going to move a team over from the West to the East. So my guess would be Purdue or Illinois is going to get moved to the East. And then you're going to have USC and UCLA, who are going to be consistently good offensively on that side. So, yeah, they might slip up to a Wisconsin team every couple of years. But for the most part, those teams are going to have to develop a little bit of a different brand of football because, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois right now all play the same style of football. Minnesota plays the same style of football. That style works when you're playing against that style. It's been proven it doesn't work against a good Penn State team. It doesn't work against a good Michigan team. It doesn't work against Ohio State.
I was kind of surprised that Minnesota fell from grace. I thought of the okay defense with a great running back. I thought Ibrahim he was going to run him to victory.
He's coming off a bad injury last year,
but
he doesn't look like the same player.
He remains his streak of 16 straight 100-yard rushing games.
So my problem with Ibrahim this year is you look at what he was 2 years ago when he really had his breakout games. When he was getting 25, 30 carries, he was going for almost 200 yards. Now, after the injury, he seems to be a little bit slower. Yeah, he's still hitting 100 yards, but he's getting that 25, 30 carries. He's getting 100 yards instead of 200. It's not nearly the same efficiency and the same explosiveness you saw out of him. he used to rip off big runs. Yeah, you don't really see him ripping off big runs anymore. He's getting 3-4 yards a carry, and they're just trying to live off that. And that's why Minnesota's kind of fallen off because Tanner Morgan is not a good quarterback.
I mean, I'm looking at Ibrahim's stats right now. Again, the dude's rushed for 1,000 yards through 9 weeks.
How many carries?
He's rushed on 170 carries. He's only had more than 25 carries twice, and that was the past 2 games against Rutgers and State.
What's his yards per carry, though?
Other than those 2 games, he's averaging 8.5 yards per carry. But if you take into consideration those 2 games, he's hovering at 5.6.
Okay, and is that a fall off from the year before
Or
or years past?
that is years to be seen.
Let's peep this here for Muhammad Ibrahim.
Well, I mean, years past. I mean, technically, if we're looking at it right now, he's on pace. So we're not even going to count 2021, obviously suffering that injury. But in 2020, over the course of the year, he only had 201 attempts. So basically, Ibrahim is 1 game away from catching that. And he's going to demolish his yardage. It is on
and he's going to demolish his carries.
That average is actually on par. He's at 5.6 this year, and 2020 is last 4 years.
I think one of the other big things, his touchdowns are way down.
Yes.
Way down.
No. 2020 he had 15. This year he's got 13.
Yeah, but when he has 9 this year.
It says 13.
Hold on. I'm looking at it backwards. I was looking at his. That's on me. I was looking at 2018. Yeah. I mean, his yards are down. I don't know. I just feel like watching him play, he's not the same player. It feels like at the end of the year, he's going to smash his rushing, his carries. He's going to beat his rushing yards. But in the end, it's not helping Minnesota.
Well, that's what it's always tough about the West is like you ask about in the beginning of the year, who do you think's going to win the East? It's between 2 teams, Ohio State and Michigan. And if you want to be a little generous, throw in some Penn State, a little love in there. But generally,
if they go on a run.
Yeah, generally Ohio State and Michigan for the Big Ten East. Big Ten West, it's Russian roulette over there, honestly. Like, it's so hard to tell now. Michigan State used to be the team over there, but that's since gone. Kenneth Walker can't carry them anymore.
Well, Michigan State really lived off the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Last year they brought in a lot of really good transfers, Kenneth Walker being one of them from Wake Forest. We'll get to that in a second. Kenneth Walker transfers in, goes crazy, kind of carries that Michigan State team. They had a lot of transfers. They lose a lot of those guys. Team's not really the same. You see UCLA doing the same thing Michigan State did, played the transfer portal really well. Zach Charbonnet made their team very good. I think you're going to start seeing that a lot out of a lot of Power 5 teams that are kind of on the cusp of winning their conference or being able to compete for it. You're going to see them go crazy in the transfer portal and try to get that extra push, just like an NFL team at a trade deadline. But jumping to North Carolina, Wake Forest, we mentioned them earlier. 6 turnovers in the 4th quarter.
Killed them.
How do you turn the ball over 6 times in 1 quarter to a Louisville team that is below 500?
They showed some explosiveness last week too against Pitt. It was 21-21, 21-23 entering the 4th, and I was at work. And next thing you know, I'm told it's 42-21. I'm like, they just love the 4th quarter, I guess, over there in Louisville.
I guess. Well, so Louisville is 5-3, but they're 500. They were below 500 in the ACC up until that point. To me, I don't like this Wake Forest team. I've never understood why they get ranked as high as they do. They never beat any of the top teams in the ACC.
They really love Sam Hartman over there.
Yeah, and he's a solid quarterback, but they run a very air raid style of offense. They throw the ball a lot, not a lot of run game. So you get in certain matchups and that works really well, and they beat up on the lower schools, but their defense is always average at best. And that's really what you look at, like Clemson. They should have beat Clemson, but that defense sold.
They should not have gone into OT.
No, should not have gone to OT. But the defense isn't good. They rely on spreading the ball out and using the receivers as a run game, quick passing. And in the end, when you're going up against the Clemson or teams that have a lot of athletes, you're going to turn the ball over. You're going to lose the game late. And that's just what happens.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how they're ranked after that.
Wait, they're 20th now, I believe.
They're 21st now. I mean, I don't know what they were last week, but if I'm the college football playoff,
I think they were 11.
That's ridiculously high.
Because I know that they were above Penn State.
That's wild. That makes no sense to me. I mean, I think when I look at the ACC here and I look at where they got ranked in the college football playoff, NC State's ranked at 22. Like that team is not.
They don't deserve to be ranked either.
They're 6-2, but them and Wake Forest are some of the worst 6-2 teams I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like
they're playing FCS teams, beating up on them.
Yeah, and that gets back to a comment I made a couple weeks ago. The ACC and the SEC play 4 non-conference games. You go look at their schedule. I guarantee you, NC State and Wake Forest went 4-0 in non-conference. They play nobody in non-conference. They beat up on the non-conference. They get 4 guaranteed wins, and then they go 500 in the ACC every year. And somehow they stay ranked at that 8-4 range. And people talk at them like they're good teams. Yeah. You're not good teams. You just inflate your win totals by playing 4 non-conference games. It's, Syracuse, I can argue, like their 2 losses are to decent teams. They've played very well this year. I like them being around 20. I don't understand how NC State and Wake Forest are still ranked. And the only other team I think other than Syracuse and Clemson that should be ranked in the ACC is North Carolina right now.
They are.
But again, well, they are. But they're the only team that I can see actually should be ranked. Like their only loss is to Notre Dame, which you just saw Notre Dame beat Syracuse. Yeah. I think Notre Dame has a good chance of beating Clemson this week. So I don't fault them as much for the Notre Dame loss. That's a team that has better talent than them. Hasn't played great this year, but has better talent.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're really going to see this North Carolina team. They play Wake Forest and NC State right at the end of the year. So I expect them to win those games. They should win both those games, but the reality is they're probably going to go 500. You're going to have a 2-3 loss. North Carolina play for the ACC championship like we see every year.
Yeah.
The ACC is the most mid-conference in the world, and they get inflated by the 4 non-conference wins that gets them more ranked teams. And at the end of the year, magically, Clemson has 6 or 7 top 25 wins. And when you go look at their schedule, 5 of them came against teams that'll be ranked between 20 and 25.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then they'll try to say that the Big Ten is not as competitive as them.
Yeah, where you look at it a couple years ago, the Big Ten top to bottom had more wins than the ACC did, and we played 1 less non-conference game. And you're going to try to tell me that the ACC is a better conference? That's wildly ridiculous.
ACC is just not competitive. They also don't have the recruiting. They don't get the talent that the Big Ten does.
It's a basketball conference. The ACC is a basketball conference. You got a couple of those teams that can recruit a little bit. Miami is good 20 years ago.
That one's notoriety. Same with Clemson. Yeah. They'll get that because of pure notoriety.
Yeah. And Dabo's been good. You can't take that away from them. Dabo's won games. They've won 2 chips. Like they're winning there, so at least you can understand why they're getting recruits. But I mean, Syracuse isn't getting recruits. Florida State hasn't been good in years. Miami hasn't been good in years. NC State somehow finds their way to being ranked every year, and then they blow every single big game. Yep. It's the conference is trash. I hate the ACC. They're so overhyped. They're acted like everyone acts like the ACC is second tier to the SEC. It's not. It's SEC and then it's Big Ten, and it's not close.
I bet a lot of MAC teams would compete in the ACC.
That's an egregious statement. If you would have come out here and said American, we could have had a conversation here, but you had to go with maybe the worst conference in college football.
You're not all about that maction?
No. Well, anytime you have teams that have to play on Tuesday night to get people to maybe watch the games, your conference is trash.
I'm taking Toledo over Pitt, just saying.
No. Awful pick. Terrible take. You're an idiot.
With how Pitt's playing this year, maybe.
I don't know. No, it won't happen. So the college football rankings came out this week. So we talked a little bit about a couple of those teams where the ACC sits there, but looking at this, I feel like there has been a miscarriage of justice here.
Yeah.
I don't love that Tennessee is number one. I think Ohio State is still better than Tennessee. I feel like Ohio State should be number one. There's a little bit of bias there, but I also feel like they are the best well-rounded team in college football right now. Tennessee has the best win right now in college football, so you put them one right now. I don't have a problem with that. We'll live. Ohio State at 2 makes sense. Georgia at 3. Honestly, this one surprised me. I thought Georgia would still be 1, but I'm not mad about them being 3. I never understood why they were still ranked ahead of Ohio State with how much they've struggled this year.
Yeah.
Clemson at 4.
Yeah, over
is the beginning of the miscarriage of justice.
Yeah. Over Michigan?
I understand Michigan has not had a good non-conference schedule. They had a bad non-conference schedule, but they were supposed to play UCLA this year. That was supposed to be a non-conference game. The game got canceled. They had to pick up a game. So they ended up playing Colorado State and Hawaii, a bunch of trash can schools, but they took care of business. They took care of business. They got into the Big Ten, and they're taking care of business. Where Clemson repeatedly in and out has not taken care of business, and they're skating by an overhyped conference. Michigan deserves to be number 4. Clemson does not deserve to be in the top 4 right now.
I hate for my team to be the benchmark of Penn State. But when I say benchmark, I mean it is for both teams this season, for Ohio State and Michigan. It was that game of, all right, you've had a somewhat softer schedule to this point. Can you do it? Can you do it against a tough team in your division? And they both did. They both, and Ohio State defense, that fucking JT Tuimoloau.
So yeah, let's get into that. The kid had the game of the century.
One of the greatest individual defensive plays.
Yeah, it's
2 picks, one of them a pick 6, 2 forced fumbles, I believe. Recovery.
So he had a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 2 picks, a pass deflection that resulted in a pick, 2 sacks, a defensive touchdown with one of those picks.
Yeah, pick
and
6.
then I believe he had 3 tackles for loss and 6 tackles for the game. The kid, he beat
player. Penn State. He beat Penn State.
He is the only player in the last 100 years to record 2 sacks, 2 picks, a fumble recovery, and a forced fumble in a game. The
JT,
only player.
This isn't that hot. I think you'll agree with me. If you did not have JT Tuimoloau in that game, Penn State won that.
Now, because Sean Clifford's bad. I told you I'm taking the over for Sean Clifford 3 picks last week. I told you that. What did he do?
Did he have 2 or did he have more?
He had 3 picks and a fumble. All right. The kid loves to sell late. It's his MO.
It is.
Everyone acted like he was Trace McSorley 2.0. You said what?
James Franklin?
James Franklin needs to be fired.
He just can't win big games. It's just
James Franklin is 1-10.
Yeah,
I believe against AP top 10 teams
since 2016.
Yeah,
and that one being against Ohio State, Grant Haley. Yeah. And that was special teams.
And that was a great comeback from that Penn State team, but they didn't even go to the playoff that year. They did not get snubbed. You got absolutely mollywopped by Pitt.
Well, not snubbed. 2016. No. 2016 was 42-39 field goal.
Yeah. That was the year you guys beat us.
2018 was the year we got snubbed.
No, because you beat us.
We were number 2 in the nation and got snubbed.
You got blown out by Pitt.
We never got blown out by Pitt.
Didn't you? That was the year, I swear, 2018.
We beat them 51-6. We have the only loss Penn State has occurred to Pitt has been 42-39, and it was when they were still wearing those dumb blue Royal Navy.
Okay, we're pulling this up. Hold on.
I know the statistic, brother. We won
20.
the
I know,
last.
He's
2018, you were 9-4. That is not the year. That is definitely not it.
Okay, bring it back to Pitt. I know for a fact I'm right here. We won 51-6 the one year.
11-2.
In Heinz.
What was the year you guys went 11-2?
That was
Not
2017, but
2017.
it was
That was the
2017.
year you got.
But we lost to Ohio State and then Michigan State back to back.
Oh, that's right. That Michigan State was the win that killed us,
Yeah.
or the loss that killed us.
No, because what was the year you guys went to the conference championship game?
2018.
No.
That was no. You guys
2016.
went 9-4 that year.
17. But wasn't the conference championship was in 2018? We won it that year though. Penn State. (2016)
Yeah, and that's the year
Yeah,
you guys beat us.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
No,
we lost
we
to
beat
Pitt.
Wisconsin 38-31.
Yeah, because you lost to Pitt, and then you got
42-39.
dominated by Michigan, and then everyone complained. They're like, "Oh, why didn't Penn State make the playoff?"
We didn't get
Because
blown out.
Ohio State was better.
We didn't get blown out.
Ohio State was better.
We got cheated.
Ohio State was better, and
But
you
we
guys were butthurt
finished
about
above
it.
you in the East and won the Big Ten
Yeah,
championship.
but you lost to us.
Yeah, but we're better.
Wait, in 2016?
Yeah,
No, we did. We beat you.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
2016.
2016.
That was the great.
Oh,
Halo.
no.
That was
Yeah,
the
you're
great-
right. I was looking at.
So
Yeah,
can we agree that 2016 we got snubbed, right?
no.
Yeah.
Ohio State was the only team out of the Big Ten that had a chance of not getting absolutely stumped. If Penn State would have played in that game, they
With
would have gotten
Grace
absolutely
Saquon,
tricked.
I think we would have at least lost with Grace.
You couldn't even win the Rose Bowl against Sam Darnold.
That wasn't the same year. Was it the same year?
Yeah.
I mean, we won the Big Ten championship.
Congratulations. You played Wisconsin. They don't win championships.
They win white people in the recruitment pool.
Yeah, fantastic. They win overly athletic white
But
outside linebacker.
huge loop-de-loop.
Fantastic.
We didn't get blown out by Pitt, correct?
We did.
You did
No, no.
lose. You did give
lost to
42
Pitt.
points up the Pit,
42-39.
but you lost to Pitt, and you got okay. The blowout I was thinking of was the Michigan, where you got blown out 49-10,
Got blown
which
out.
is kind of what happened this year.
Yeah, as I said, I just said under my breath. I was like, this year.
So, like, Penn State has not had a team in a long
We have
time
had
that has
the
deserved to
talent, in
play
my
for the
opinion.
championship.
We have had the talent, in my opinion.
Honestly, bring back Bill O'Brien.
I think where we truly lack, is an actual game-changing quarterback. We have had game-changing.
I feel like you had that with Trace. Trace was that
Yes.
quarterback. He was a dog. But the problem was your play
Past
calling
4
was
years they were
trash.
Clifford.
Oh, how do you beat Ohio State on 4th and 6? Oh, let's run a fucking
Dude,
inside zone.
we please talk
Fantastic
about-
play call.
When we were actually there was a point in the game where it was the drive right before you guys opened it up. We had just scored a touchdown, and all we needed to do was stop you, and we were back in the game. And we would be in the lead, I would say.
But you
It's
let
like-
what JT Barrett go
it was-
11 for 11 for like 200
Dude, it was
yards and 4
this year-
touchdowns in
this
the
year.
fourth quarter.
This year, it was 3rd and 10. In past game, 3rd and 10. We soft coverage Marvin Harrison. I'm like, wow, I'm looking at the screen. Where's this going?
Yeah,
And
magic.
3rd and 10, we lined up 4 DBs on the first down marker. Marvin Harrison slant for 11 yards.
Yeah, well,
I was like, I could
that's
have
what
got
happens.
Dan up here and called a better defense.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's because Dan is brain dead and he just smacks his play sheet and he's like, oh, that's the play I'm calling.
It's like Manny Diaz is also a Miami version of James Franklin. Manny Diaz 85% of the game or of a regular game, I'm not saying a specific game, is a great play caller, has some really good innovative blitz packages, and then
Yeah.
it's plays like that 3rd and 10, line up 4 DBs the first down and give up an easy slant. It's like, yeah, that's how you got fired from Miami.
Well, that gets me back to my latest point. Bring back Bill O'Brien. He was the last great coach for Penn State.
Joba.
So, because you had Joe Paterno who got canned because of the
Thank-
diddle fest that was going on over there, and Bill O'Brien came in and said, I don't care that we lost all these scholarships and we can't play for bowl games. We're going to come out here and we're going to win 10 games.
Yeah.
So bring back the kid and see what he can do when the team is actually decent.
Hot take. Trace McSorley should be given at least a shot in the NFL.
Next topic.
All right, moving
All
on.
right.
Moving on.
So we just got wildly off topic. So let's jump back to these rankings. So at number 5, you have Michigan. I think we can all agree that is egregiously low. Michigan has looked like the better team. But here's where I start to have an issue. You have an undefeated Power 5 team, and you have them at 8. I know TCU's defense has not played great, but this team is 8-0. And right now, are you telling me if they go undefeated, you're going to snub 8-0 or an undefeated TCU for a one-loss Tennessee? Conference championships have to matter like the most. If you are an undefeated Power 5 conference champion, you have to make it in. I don't care what happened. You went undefeated as a Power 5 school. You're in the playoff. I don't care how bad Clemson is. I don't care how bad TCU is. If they go undefeated, put them in.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't care how good Tennessee was this year. If Tennessee is 11-1 and TCU is 12-0, put in TCU.
I agree.
So I am a little upset here that TCU is ranked so low. I think the way I see the SEC playing out, Tennessee is going to beat Georgia this week. They're both going to win out the rest of the year. Tennessee is then going to lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game.
So you think Bama's going to beat LSU this week?
No way Saban drops one.
I don't like this LSU team. Yeah, they beat up Ole Miss, but Ole Miss hadn't beat anybody. Like, they upset Kentucky. Kentucky has 5 losses now? Like,
LSU started off hot with such a great offense. They're putting them 38 points back to back.
Well, they also lost to Florida State week 1.
They're just like Notre Dame. They're just too inconsistent.
Well, that's strange because it's like their coach came from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Or Brian Kelly, yeah.
Well, Kelly action.
So I don't expect this team to win. I mean, I'm hoping for an Alabama loss. I just want to see the pot get stirred because the reality is LSU has the same record in the SEC that Bama does. So if LSU wins this week, they are first in the East or in the West. I mean,
you think if LSU beats Bama, that takes away from Tennessee?
No. If LSU beats Bama, they are in first place to play for the conference championship game.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss is in that same boat. All 3 of those teams have 1 loss in the SEC. So Bama plays LSU and then Ole Miss back-to-back weeks. So if they drop one of those games, that other team is going to play for the the SEC championship game. I'm all over the place. So I want to see a little chaos. Who doesn't like a little spicy chaos, little danger,
a little meme?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I'm hoping for some chaos. Why not have Illinois beat Michigan? Why not? TCU go crazy and win out. Like let's have some chaos. Let's see some teams we haven't seen in the playoffs before. Tennessee has never been ranked higher than 15 in the college football playoff. TCU has been close to making the playoff, but has never made it. So let's see some change up here. Sometimes it gets boring to watch, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State play for the Natty every year.
Oh, it does, 100%.
Illinois beats Michigan, JT. I will send you a picture of my bunghole.
Oh, nice. Hot.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah.
Dan, I'm gonna need a picture of your asshole.
Oh, okay. For your post wipe.
Like a little panorama.
Mid wipe?
Yeah, panorama of that bitch. Half clean, half dirty.
All right. The other team I think we can look out for Oregon.
Yes.
Their only loss right now is to Georgia. So if Georgia beats Tennessee, it's still a bad loss because of how bad they lost, but they're playing a lot better than they did when they played Georgia. So if Oregon wins out, they're going to get a couple top 25 wins, or a couple top 10 wins. So they still have to play Utah and Oregon State, both ranked teams right now. And then they're likely going to play USC for the championship. So they'll get a top 10 win there, and 2 top 25 wins during their season. This is a team with a little bit of chaos, a couple losses here and there. You could see Oregon make a play for the playoff.
Yeah. Bo Nix is playing out of his fucking mind.
They need help. Don't get me wrong. They need help. They need a TCU loss. They need a Clemson loss. They need some chaos in the SEC to be able to make it in. But if there's a little bit of chaos there, they're going to have the quality wins to possibly propel them into the playoff.
This Bo Nix is not the same Bo Nix that Penn State beat up on the past 3 years.
Well,
this is not it.
He's playing in the Pac-12 now. The Pac-12 doesn't play defense. So he's played one team that does play defense, and I do believe they got absolutely stomped.
George.
So I don't know if I can say it's not the same but old Bo Nix, because Bo Nix do like to play like trash against good teams.
We'll see.
Or good defenses.
I just think I think I keep him there in my pocket as a potential team sleeper to watch.
They're a sleeper for sure, but the only way they make it in is with a lot of chaos. They need help.
Yeah, you need to get you in this college football ranking and start stirring up some chaos.
Little chaos, little chef cooking. So one of the games I want to talk about, we already talked about it a little bit. Brian Kelly and LSU are playing Bama. Do you guys see this as an upset game at all?
Nope.
Big rivalry game.
Nope.
Okay,
no, I don't either.
I know Bailey. I know Bailey is like quick to dismiss it. So are you. But I think this is like one of those games that like you have to pay attention to, because and that's something that I feel like Nick Saban's doing the same thing. He's like, you can't just come in here and be like, we're gonna stomp Bama, we're gonna stomp them, because the tide has slipped a little this year. They've played in some a lot closer games than they have, and this LSU team has gotten hot lately. So I feel like this is the perfect time for LSU to maybe sneak one out.
Yes, they've gotten hot, but 3 weeks ago they played Tennessee. And you know what happened in that game, Dan?
They got dogged, yeah.
They got dogged 40-13.
I'm not taking Alabama because of Bryce Young. I'm not taking Alabama for Jameer Gribbs, where the hell his name is. Okay? I'm taking Alabama for Nick Saban.
I'm taking Alabama because Brian Kelly doesn't win big games.
That too. I think it's LSU. So, they do not have the talent to even though I've said this weeks ago, this is a slow Bama team. It's a Bama team that's not looked as good. They haven't reloaded as well as they usually have. I still don't think LSU's recruitment program is there with Bama. I still think
not right now.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
is a genius. I think he's going to mega mine some bullshit. I don't see LSU being close in this game.
It's a rivalry game. I could definitely see it being close. You look at the history of this rivalry. It's just like Alabama-Auburn. It doesn't matter how bad Auburn is. You still look at that game and you go, 1 or 2 plays, and this is a game that they could get upset. I think that's still the case here, but absolutely. I just don't trust this LSU team to come out here and play to the level that they're going to need to play to be able to upset Bama. So at most, this is a 7 to 10 point game, or at least this is a 7 to 10 point game. But I'm expecting this to be at least a 17-point Bama win.
All right. So the next one we got 2 teams in the ACC that have struggled recently. We got Wake Forest and NC State playing. They're both, whoever loses this game will drop out of the top 25. So this is like the last chance they have to make a play for some type of championship in the or some good
neither
bowl
of them
games.
can play for a championship.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
for bowl games,
for a good bowl game. This is that game for them. So.
Yeah, this is gonna be an awful game. Give me NC State, but I don't like this matchup. I think this is gonna be a 35 to 38 game. It's gonna be ugly. There's gonna be turnovers. But I just don't trust Wake Forest defense to get a stop when needed.
Yeah.
No,
as
absolutely.
much as I've been on the Kevin Leary NC State hate train.
Oh, hate the kid. Don't like it. I don't like how hyped up he is.
I think he's gonna at least outduel Sam Hartman on the other side. And just like you said, this Wake Forest defense that has played struggling good team. Wake Forest had every opportunity to put themselves at number 9. But
They had a real opportunity to be undefeated this year.
Yeah.
Clemson is not that good. They should have beat Clemson.
There's no reason for them to go into OT against Clemson.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but they choke late. I just don't trust this team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So another game I got marked on for this week. I got number 7 TCU is playing Texas Tech. The only reason I have it on here is it is a rivalry game. Anything can happen in rivalry games, and
Texas Tech does not play defense.
Oh,
I'm sorry to cut you off, Dan, but
no.
Texas Tech does not play defense. If they're going to win a game against good teams, they're going to have to score 50 points. They don't have an offense for that. TCU's offense is too prolific. Duggan is too good at that quarterback position right now. TCU by 21.
All right.
I like that. I'll take TCU by 14.
And then the last game I got showing up is a Big Ten game. And it's I got Italy versus MSU.
I like Illinois here. Michigan State just suspended like 6 players for jumping a Michigan player in the entrance into the stadium. So in the tunnel. Michigan State's not playing well this year. They're 3-5. Illinois' defense is playing well. They're running the ball well.
Yeah, Chase Brown, dog.
Give me Illinois in a 24-17 game.
All right.
I'm gonna ride Illinois too. I don't like this Michigan State team at all. Ever since it's been rough sledding for them. Wow.
Oh, absolutely.
Even when Kenneth Walker was there last year, the entire offense ran through Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, they've always been one-dimensional playing, so
They're Big Ten West, as JT said. Run ball, good defense.
Yeah,
Well,
run ball, good defense.
Michigan State isn't Big Ten West or Big Ten East, but
But they might as well be Big Ten West.
Yeah.
Facts.
They have never had a good quarterback. We could mention Kirk Cousins in here, but that's questionable if we want to say good quarterback.
Yeah. He's a good college quarterback. You can't take that away from him.
He was a good college quarterback. They've had some decent college quarterbacks, but nothing to the level. I mean, I believe Kirk made the playoff one year, and I think they got mollywopped so bad it wasn't funny.
Yeah, I think I remember them.
Or maybe
I remember them playing in the Rose Bowl.
Maybe it was after Kirk. Might not have been Kirk that played in the. Well, they made it the one year and got absolutely stomped.
Oh, absolutely.
Nonetheless, well, Bailey, Mr. Bet Boy, you got any bets for college football here?
I just said I like TCU minus 14.
Okay.
Is the game at Michigan State?
It is at Michigan State.
I'm gonna take Syracuse. Not Syracuse. I'm sorry, Illinois minus 6.5.
Okay.
I know Michigan State just got long dick daddied with the suspension. They thought they were NWA in the tunnels. F the police. I think it's still going to be a tough game. Games in Michigan are always tough, as Penn State would tell you. We love dropping games in the state of Michigan. It's what we do. It's what we do best, besides touching kids. That's about it.
How do you feel about the
Tennessee versus Georgia? Slam the over.
Okay.
Like I said, it's going to be a pissing match. Same with Alabama and LSU.
Okay, Alabama LSU, it's plus 13.5 right now.
No, what's the over though?
The over is 58.
I know you guys think this is gonna be a close game, but if I had to be a safe man, I'm not gonna touch the spread.
I just said Bama was gonna win by 17.
Yeah, I know, but if I'm trying to be,
what do you mean a close game?
I like the over in that game too, and TCU spread easily safe.
I mean TCU drops 45 a game.
Yeah,
I mean the only team that scores as much as TCU is Ohio State.
This might be just a week of overs. It really. Okay. I think Tennessee versus Georgia over might be the safest bet of the weekend. I just think it might be. Now I'm gonna say this and watch Georgia beat Tennessee like 9-3.
That would be hot. Honestly,
that would be kind of spicy.
Another game here, not like a marquee matchup, but we got Oklahoma Baylor this week.
Baylor always.
Two teams that are 5-3. You got the over of 57. And right now, Oklahoma's only favored by 3.5.
I like Baylor in this game.
Okay.
Baylor's always one of those teams. They were ranked last this year at the beginning of the year, at least. They're always a team that you kind of circle on your schedule. They're kind of upset heavy. They like to play up. They're not Penn State. They don't play down and only put up 17 points against Northwestern. Pieces of shit. But regardless, Baylor's a good team. I think this Oklahoma defense struggled itself. Dylan Gabriel's just coming back himself. Give me Baylor.
Okay. All right. The last game I want to talk about right here. Pop in real quick. Ohio State versus Northwestern. Northwestern's one
Yeah, give me the
1-7.
under.
So Ohio State is favored by 38 points, and the over is 60. How you feeling about that?
I'm
Give me
taking
Baylor.
I'm taking Northwestern -7.5.
Yeah, I'm taking Northwestern minus 62.
I'm taking Ohio State.
Can I bet on CJ Stroud on the bench by the second quarter?
Well, Ohio State likes to play at least through halfway through the third quarter for their
Yeah.
starters. So,
CJ Stroud's going to be eating a hot dog on the bench.
oh yeah, he's
That's
just
sure.
gonna be big chilling. Kyle McCord's gonna get in the 4-star demon. You know, he's gonna be the guy with the reins next year.
Trayvon Henderson might actually look like himself from last year.
Listen, Ohio State's got to figure out that run game. I feel like Ohio
Dude,
State's run game is too predictable. They're only running out of certain sets right now, and I think that's why it's easy to stop the run game. You know, you diversify the sets you're running the ball out of, makes it harder to decide. You know, for a team to figure out when you're going to run the ball, you become a little bit more effective.
I said this last year. Trayvon Henderson looked so good last year. And I really thought he was going to break out the season and really just take it to the next level.
And look, he's only a sophomore. You got this team that, you know, Marvin Harrison's going to be back next year. Ebukam's going to be back next year. But
Julian
there's
Fleming?
a good chance Fleming and Jigba won't be back next year. So you're going to have a little bit more focus on the run game. Kyle McCord is going to be there. You know, the offense is, you don't know exactly what that passing game is going to look like. So there's going to be a better focus on the run, I think, next year. And I think that's where you're going to see Henderson really take over. Kind of have a Ezekiel Elliott-esque year
Hopefully.
at Ohio State.
But yeah, give me Northwestern by 60.
Not bad, but
Okay. All right. Well, this has been the Boys and Ball Pod, College Football Edition. Thanks for stopping by once again. Leave a like, subscribe. Bye.